Welcome back to Switched to Linux. So it is Monday, it is another top 5, and today we're going to talk about the top 5 Ubuntu variations. Of course, Ubuntu just released 17.10. I did a run of it on the beta version for a while. I wasn't overly impressed with it, mostly because I really don't care for the GNOME desktop. And so with that, I could certainly be a little bit more biased. As far as the stability, I found it just as good as any other Ubuntu. I think Ubuntu is a great build. It's a great first introduction. However, there are a lot of people that say, I'm not sure if GNOME is the best way to introduce yourself to Linux or to Ubuntu. And if you happen to be among that camp and you're thinking of making the jump over to Linux, I'm going to show you the top 5 best Ubuntu variations that are not the core Ubuntu. So what these variations are oftentimes they're in fact, I believe all of these are community builds where they use the most recent Ubuntu core, which means you are going to have the best, most current Ubuntu, but they build them with different desktop environments. So, of course, if you're new to GNU Linux, then what you will find is that the core that runs everything on the background is essentially what it is. Linux with Ubuntu packages and things like that, which works great. But what's different on a computer and what you're used to on your computer is the desktop environment. So if you're coming from a Mac, you have their environment. Is theirs? I think theirs is like an X11. I don't know. I don't remember what Mac's is. Of course, Windows was Aero under Windows Vista, Windows 7, and do they call it Metro? No, I don't think they call it Metro anymore on Windows 10. I don't know. I'm out of the whole Windows 10 move. I'm a little behind on that. But as far as Linux is concerned, the great news about moving over to a Linux desktop computer is you have any variety of environments you can build off of. You're not locked into whatever the manufacturer decides you should have. You want to go with something that looks like old Windows 95? You got it. You want something as modern as Windows 10 or Mac OS 10 or whatever they call it? You got it. You can do anything. And that's one of those powers of the GNOME 3 desktop that the current build of Ubuntu is based on. It is very modern. It's just not one I personally like. But that's a very subjective matter. You should check it out for yourself. But what I want to do here is talk about the top 5 variations. Now, I'm not going to install these or show them to you on the desktop. We're just going to look at the DistroWatch pages, and I believe I've looked at all of these at some point in time. I have looked at all these, so I'm going to link the videos into the description and as cards into this video. So if you want to see more detail about that specific desktop or the community build, go ahead and click on that card, and then you'll get a chance to view a little bit more comprehensive videos. I'm not sure I've done one for Xubuntu, but I'm not sure. We'll get there. I'll look through my archive and see what I have. But regardless, and of course, another disclaimer is that the videos I'm going to show you, I did not do those all on the 17, but they're mostly the same. It's just a few packages are updated. The kernel's more updated. Most of the things are going to look very similar. So with that, we're going to go ahead and jump on in. First, of course, we're going to go to the main DistroWatch page. If you're not familiar with DistroWatch and you're considering looking to Linux, then come on over here and you can have a look at what's the current best top Linux distros are. Of course, they have their top 100 over here. Mint is usually at the top of this list by far, and I personally run Mint. This video is being recorded on Mint, and I like Mint because it works out of the box and it has a desktop environment that is exactly what I like. A little bit older school. It really resembles the Aero desktop where, in the traditional Windows setup, but that's exactly what I like for productivity. That's why I use it. While I'm not against change, and this guy here is a very modern desktop environment called Budgie, I'm not looking for change for the sake of change. When I find something that works for me, I like to keep those elements. A lot of the great things like KDE, for example, is a great desktop environment I can set it up exactly the way I like to build, but have modern elements as well. I'm usually running KDE on this computer, which I also really like. So we're going to get into those different things. But what we're going to do here is I'm going to jump over and show you. First, if you look at the DistroWatch page, you'll see all these Ubuntus up here on the top. And the reason is the community builds come out right about the same time the Ubuntu comes out, because they kind of work on them concurrently. And that's why you see Ubuntu's scattering the first page of DistroWatch right now. It's because they all release at the same time. So that being said, which of all of these crazy amounts of Ubuntus is right for you? Well, watch this video, and I'm going to talk about the high points and the low points of each of these, and you'll get a chance. So first, and I kind of put these in order, first to last of the order that I personally like them, but you need to decide for yourself based upon the functionality that you want. So first, we have Ubuntu Mate. Ubuntu Mate is the one that I build on my backup computer. So this guy here is actually my hard drive for that. So this computer that I have actually has an IC dock on the front, so I can push a button, the hard drive pops out, and I can swap in different hard drives for different operating systems. So my Ubuntu Mate, and I like the Ubuntu Mate build because it also resembles that older school. So if you want an Ubuntu that is a Windows 95 to Windows 7 type experience, Ubuntu Mate is a good way to go. Some people say it's kind of old school, it's not as modern. Well, you may not want modern. So if you want to see it, like here's the screenshot of it. So what you can see here is, let me move the screen up just a little bit, so hopefully you can see at the bottom. They'll have down here the basic traditional taskbar. They have a desktop switcher, a garbage can. What I usually do is I add another menu down here to the bottom to give me a more consistent Windowsy type menu. But you do have 3 menus up at the top. And those 3 menus at the top give you all of your applications. This one gives you all of your folders and locations. And the third one gives you any type of system administration control. So this is a very nice desktop environment. It has a more traditional feel to it. Of course, it's not nearly as modern. It's a little bit lower on system resources. So if you're not the most up-to-date computer, you just have a run-of-the-mill average computer, Ubuntu Mate might be a good choice, especially if you're coming from a Windows system, a Windows ecosystem. You'll probably feel more at home in the Ubuntu Mate environment. It's kind of the safe route. It's the place to go without a whole lot of hassle. The second one that you would look at is Kubuntu. So Kubuntu is Ubuntu which runs on the KDE desktop environment. So what I like about KDE, and this picture here does not do this justice, this is one of the most modern and advanced operating systems. Some people may or may not disagree. It has the Dolphin file manager. It's probably my second favorite, not my absolute favorite, but it's up there. It's good. It's getting better as time goes on, but what's really cool about the KDE environment is you have multiple options of your menus. You can have a very modern, sleek, searchable menu. You can have a more older, traditional type menu, or you can have like a dash menu, very much like what you would get in a Mac OS X or even a I don't want to use the term Windows 8, but I'm going to use it because what it'll do is it'll overlay your whole screen with an entire place where you can pick your various things. You can set up favorites and stuff like that. Very nice menu, but you have the very fast option to choose any of those 3 for your main menu. You also have a lot of functionality for very easy availability to change your wallpapers, install new wallpapers from the internet, grab new icon packs from online. It just makes it makes customization really robust. You also have a lot of built-in KDE apps, which are very good applications. These guys are really one of the oldest, but also still on one of the most cutting edge of software development. Downside of using KDE, you can definitely get lost in the settings. There are a lot of settings in this, and it could take you a good couple of days to get everything set up right. Other than that, KDE itself is a very respectable desktop environment, and the Ubuntu build of it is once again just top notch. It works out of the box. Everything is set up nicely. It's fairly intuitive, and it does have a Windows type setup to it. So if that is something that you are looking for, go ahead and do that. So the third one that I'm looking at is Ubuntu Budgie. This is a more up-to-date, more modern distro. I'm using that right over here. I like this because it's based on the GNOME 3, where it has a lot of the very modern features and functionality, including all of your embedded notifications, embedded ability to integrate your email systems to get notification pop-ups when emails arrive. A lot of modern functionality. You can input your Microsoft accounts or Facebook accounts or Google accounts if that happens to be your thing. Not my personal thing, but you can do that. Lot of different functionality, and this one, why I like this one better than the GNOME it's based on is that while it is very up-to-date and very modern, it also has a level of customizability, but it's not like KDE where you can get lost in the customizability. It does have a lot of that, but you have the ability, it's not as hard to figure it out. I am running this probably for the first time in a production environment, and I'm really liking the Budgie desktop. I think it's very classy, it's up to date, it's sleek, but it also gives me a lot of the skeuomorphic and what some people might consider the less modern look and feel, which is exactly what I'm looking for, while being very up to date, very modern. Another downside, it does take about twice as many system resources as most of the other environments out there. So if you are on an older computer with less system resources, you might want to steer away from the Budgie environment. Next, if you are looking at building a computer on a lower end system, you might consider the next two distros, EllaBoon or Xubuntu, based on the LXDE and XFCE desktop environments. So first we'll do the EllaBoon. I use this one personally for my banking work. I have one distro set up on a thumb drive as a banking computer. It is a fully encrypted thumb drive. I plug it into any computer, boot it up, go through the decryption process, and it sets up a system that does nothing but my banking and my very backup files. I also keep a backup of all my passwords on there because it is a password protected thumb drive. So it is a very nice option for a system, and it runs on any computer, just really lightweight, and it does give you that Windows type feel. The downside, of course, the menus are not searchable, and it does look way out of date. I mean, we're talking Windows 95 look to it. You can do a few more customizations with it, but for the most part, you're going to get something that's very lightweight. It works, it's fast, but it's not nearly as customizable or as modern looking. You don't have the embedded accounts. You don't have the embedded notifications with it, but it is a very respectable desktop environment. If you just want something that's more traditional, more old, it's not giving you pop-up notifications, your email systems don't integrate with it, all that kind of stuff, if that's what you want, check out EllaBoon. And then the last one on my list is Xubuntu. Very similar to the EllaBoon. I do find more customizability and a slightly more modern feel to this, and that we have, by default, we have a very searchable menu in it. There's a lot more look and feel customizability. So you do have that old style feel, the old style look, but you have a little bit more customizability with this than you have in the EllaBoon, at least in my personal experience. And disclaimer, I use XFCE a lot more than LXDE. So, but in either one of these two, very lightweight. They probably run on 300 or 400 megabytes of system memory when they're running. They're easy, customizable, just very nice platforms. So that is 5 Ubuntu variations that you can use if you want to check out Ubuntu, but you're not quite sure about the modern GNOME build. 5 community editions. Now, there are more community editions than these. Other notable ones, let's go back to DistroWatch. Ubuntu Studio, if you are a creative person, you're doing video production, audio production, graphic design, any of that type of stuff, definitely check out Ubuntu Studio. It rocks. It's either based on LXDE or XFCE. I forget which one. Looks like it's maybe based on XFCE, but it comes with a boatload of software to help you along your way. Let's see. Of course, there's the traditional Ubuntu. I'm not sure there's an Ubuntu GNOME anymore, but you do have the ability to get the traditional GNOME shell. If you do like GNOME, but you don't like what Ubuntu did with it, you can reinstall that, as I have heard. So that is on my top 5 picks for the best Ubuntu variations with the new system. Thanks for watching. If you would like to help support what we are doing, you can check us out at switchtolinux.com/support. Currently, we have Patreon, we have direct PayPal links, and we have Amazon links. If you would like to shop on Amazon and would like to help us out, that is a good way to do that, and it doesn't cost you anything extra. So thank you for watching, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.